Today I'm getting into something I'm sure a lot of you will find fascinating, real-life movie locations and how they've changed over the years, but not the films you would expect to hear about. When you first glimpsed the Cottonwood paper mill in Utah, built in the early 1900s, it was known for steady steam and buzzing machinery. In Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, this old mill becomes the eerie backdrop to the Smith's Grove ritual scene, dim lights, chanting cultists, and Michael's ominous presence. Today the mill stands silent and weathered. Its walls are worn, windows broken, and Mother Nature is slowly reclaiming it. You wouldn't hear the hum of machines, only wind through empty halls, yet the place still carries a haunting cinematic air. Moving from a haunted mill to a war-torn gasworks. Let's travel across the Atlantic to Beckton Gas Works in London. When Stanley Kubrick shot the climactic Hugh battle scenes for Full Metal Jacket in the late 70s, this area was chosen for its bleak, decayed industrial buildings. Kubrick had crews add palm trees and war debris to recreate the streets of Vietnam. Today, most of the old gasworks is demolished. The area is now redeveloped with bits of the past, chunks of brick walls or old pipes, left as reminders of its industrial heyday and its time as a movie battlefield. The white limestone house on Hester's Crossing Road was built in the late 1800s and used for Norma's bedroom scene, animal print wallpaper, and eerie silence as Sally reveals her fascination with zebras. In the film, the house seemed far from the family home, but in real life they were directly across the street from each other. The house burned in the late 70s, and by 2001 only limestone piles and a porch foundation remained. Now Highway 45 runs right through the site. A road again, though this time a modern one. Let's get away from the terror in Texas and sail to Malta, where Sweethaven VIillage is waiting for us. In 1980, filmmakers built an entire village for Popeye starring Robin Williams, jutting off the rocky coastline of Anchor Bay. It was bustling with whimsical, colorful buildings made of wood and paint. Today, Sweethaven is still there, now called Popeye Village, and turned into a theme park. Visitors wander through Popeye's house, ride boats in the bay, and watch live shows. The fun, bright world of Sweethaven lives on, just more family-friendly now. In the mid-70s, Fred's Oasis was a rundown desert outpost used in The Hills Have Eyes. The crumbling structures, creaky benches, and ramshackle feel heightened the terror when the family first stops there. Today, those small buildings are gone, only a lone chimney, some concrete foundations, and a stairway down to a long-lost basement remain. The ghost of Fred's Oasis lingers quietly in the desert sand. When the town that dreaded sundown unraveled its chilling story in 1976, it filmed police station scenes in the west wing of the Texarkana Union Station, built in 1930 and straddling Texas and Arkansas. That building still stands today. Passenger services ended in 1971, but the east side still runs as an Amtrak station. The west wing, used in the film, is now quiet and boarded up. It's on the National Register of Historic Places, but in restful slumber. In 1981, the Evil Dead brought terror to the woods around Morristown, Tennessee, in a simple yet deadly cabin on Inman Bend Road. By 1982, the cabin burned down, leaving only bits of fireplace, tin roofing, and the foundation. Today, if you visit, you'll find ghostly remnants poking through the grass, faded but still carrying that awful sense of the past. Sam Raimi built a full-scale medieval castle at Polsa Rosa Ranch for Army of Darkness. Ash-battling skeleton warriors in front of towers and drawbridges made for great goofy mayhem. Now, the ranch is back to plain land. No castle, no flags, nothing but bare earth. But you can walk the spot today and imagine where the drawbridge and ramparts once stood. Leaving the medieval set of Army of Darkness, let's ride into a California town hiding a vampire secret. In 1987, the Lost Boys introduced Lucy, Michael, and Sam, driving into the fictional town of Santa Carla along West Cliff Drive, past Lighthouse Point Park and the Santa Cruz Surfing Museum. The Welcome to Santa Carla billboard, labeling it the murder capital of the world, was a prop, not well liked by the real Santa Cruz Chamber of Commerce. Today, that billboard is long gone, replaced by an 18-foot bronze surfer statue placed there in 1992. The coastline still stirs up memories of vampires and beach carnivals, but now it's more surfboards than supernatural. Big K's Burger was a fictional diner created just for the Wraith in 1986, sitting on East Benson Highway in Tucson. The place was a neon-lit teen hangout, central to the film's mysterious plot and street racing drama. But the diner never outlived the film. It was demolished in the 1990s, leaving nothing behind. Where burgers and muscle cars once ruled, there's now just a boxy brick building and the memory of fast cars and a ghostly driver. Next, we step into a bar that saw more than just bar fights. For Roadhouse, filmmakers built the iconic Double Deuce Bar and Red's Auto Parts on site in Santa Clarita. These were not existing businesses, but carefully constructed sets made to look worn and real. Once filming wrapped, both buildings were torn down. Today, the area looks entirely different. No signs of the legendary brawls or Patrick Swayze's bouncing days remain. Now we're heading east to North Carolina for a moodier atmosphere. The Slow Club, where Isabella Rossellini's character sang haunting songs in Blue Velvet, was filmed at what's now Winnie's Tavern. Back then, the nightclub was shadowy and mysterious, dripping with noir-style dread. Today, Winnie's is a casual spot known for burgers and beer, not moody ballads. The exterior's still recognizable, though, offering a rare slice of David Lynch's strange world tucked into everyday life. Andy's cheerleading scene in the Goonies was filmed on John Warren Field, a high school football field in Astoria. In the mid-'80s, it was an ordinary field, but Goonies fans knew it as a backdrop to Young Adventure. The field was torn down in 2016. In its place stands the CMHOHSU Night Cancer Collaborative. Though the old field is gone, the fight against a different kind of villain, cancer, now takes place on that very ground. Now to Pennsylvania, where the dead once walked. The farmhouse in Night of the Living Dead was the film's central location. At the time, it was a real house on a quiet stretch of Evans City. Over the years, the house fell into disrepair and was eventually demolished. A modern cabin now sits on the site. There are no zombies, but the area still draws horror fans searching for the echoes of that eerie night. The Tasty Freeze and the Outsiders was where the characters met up for ice cream and teenage talk. It stood in Owasso until sometime between 1995 and 2003, when it was demolished. A gas station went up, and by 2020, the site became a come-and-go convenience store. But look west, and you'll still spot Ader Stadium, just like in the background of the old movie shots. The Gotham Bookmart was where Rosemary learns more about the strange cult involving her neighbors. The bookstore operated here from 1946 until 2007 and was far more than a movie location. It was a literary landmark that hosted James Joyce Society meetings and author readings. After closing, the building changed hands and today is no longer a bookstore. But older New Yorkers still remember the joy of browsing, its deep, narrow aisles filled with rare finds. The high-speed speeder bike chase in Return of the Jedi was filmed in Owen R. Cheatham Grove. For those dizzying shots, a camera operator walked the trail slowly, filming 1 frame per second. When played back at full speed, it looked like the bikes were flying. Actors filmed their parts against a green screen back in a studio. Today, you can walk the same path where the camera glided. The grove is peaceful and small, but filled with towering redwoods that still look like they belong in a galaxy far, far away. Long before Clint Eastwood broke out of it on screen, Alcatraz was a real prison. Originally built in the mid-1800s to house military prisoners, the concrete main block went up in 1912, and the island served as a federal prison from 1934 to 1963. In Escape from Alcatraz, the prison was portrayed as harsh and inescapable. Today, Alcatraz is preserved as a National Historic Landmark and managed by the National Park Service. Visitors tour its lonely halls daily, walking the same paths as inmates and movie crews once did. In The Third Man, one of the film's most striking city shots includes the towering Saint, Stephen's Cathedral, its Gothic spire rising above the ruins of post-war Vienna. Sadly, in 1945, flames from surrounding bombed buildings set the cathedral's roof ablaze, destroying much of the structure. The citizens rallied quickly, and by 1952 the church was completely rebuilt, stone by stone. Today it looks much like it did before the war, ornate, solemn, and proud, still ringing its Pomeran bell, cast from melted Turkish cannons. In the final scenes of Deliverance, Bobby, Ed, and Lewis quietly paddle out of the wilderness onto the lake shore near Mount Carmel Baptist Church. At the time of filming in the early 70s, the Jockasee Valley was being intentionally flooded by the Duke Power Company. By the film's release in 1972, that exact spot sat beneath 130 feet of water. Today, the only way to match the background is to launch from the Devil's Fork 2 boat ramp. The sunken church and valley remain preserved underwater, eerily intact beneath the lake's surface. Filmed at the actual Oregon State Hospital in 1975, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest captured scenes inside the real psychiatric facility. The imposing Kirkbride building stood at the heart of the campus and remains to this day. In 2009, most of the hospital was rebuilt, modern and clean, but the original Kirkbride remains as a historic relic. A museum now honors the film and the hospital's history, inside the same walls where McMurphy challenged the system. When Bill and Ted landed in 1879 New Mexico, it was actually Carefree Studios in Scottsdale. Built in 1969, the studio featured an Old West set perfect for their comic adventures. But by 1999, the studio was gone, bulldozed to make room for Whisper Rock Golf Club. Today, the first hole's green sits exactly where the Wild West Saloon once stood, excellent for golfers, but not so much for time travelers. The Wheelin Restaurant opened in 1958 and was immortalized when Pee-wee had breakfast under the gaze of a giant dinosaur. The restaurant closed in 2013 and was demolished in 2016. The sign stood for a few more years, a lonely relic on an empty lot. But the stars of the scene, Denny the Brontosaurus and Mr. Rex, still stand tall behind it. Originally built by Claude Bell to attract customers, they've become beloved roadside icons seen in multiple films and music videos. Now let's burn some rubber in San Francisco. Steve McQueen's legendary car chase in Bullitt took him past the Thunderbolt Motel, a classic mid-century lodging near the airport. It served as a quick stop in the film, but it no longer exists. Today, the site is occupied by the sleek and modern Aloft San Francisco Airport Hotel. There's no trace of the old motel, but the city streets around still echo with the rumble of that Mustang. From one California city to another, we head into mystery and magic. Much of Big Trouble in Little China was filmed in and around San Francisco's Chinatown. The Dragon Gate on Bush Street, built in 1969, marked the edge of Jack Burton's wild adventures underground. The gate still stands, welcoming visitors with stone lions and green-tiled roofs. Though some storefronts have changed, the neighborhood still holds on to its look and energy. You can still walk the same streets that Jack and Wang Chi ran through. The Erie Church at the heart of the fog was built in 1888. Located in Sierra Madre, it's the site where Father Malone reads from his grandfather's journal as the mist rolls in. The building is still standing and well preserved. It's a recognized historical landmark and still used today, appearing in other films as well. Stepping inside feels like stepping into the final moments of Carpenter's slow-burning horror. The Tides restaurant seen in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds was the bustling spot where chaos first erupted. In the early 60s, it had a classic fishing town feel, wooden siding and big windows facing the bay. Today, the Tide still operates, but with modern upgrades, sleek interiors, and a seafood market attached. While the film's terror is long gone, the birds are still around, flying calmly over the modernized bayfront. In They Live, when Rowdy Roddy Piper puts on his sunglasses, the billboards change, revealing commands like obey and marry and reproduce. These signs were hung on real buildings around 7th and Olive in downtown L.A. Those buildings are still standing, though the billboards are gone today. The area is filled with office workers and food trucks. But fans still stop and look up, half expecting to see hidden messages staring back. Subscribe so you don't miss next week's episode, where we look at abandoned American islands.